Ambassador Sibal, of course, we have discussed how this election is being watched by the world. For America, again, the question is, which presidency is better? Is it Kamala Harris's presidency or Donald Trump's?
Well, that is for the Americans to decide. We are not players in this game. We have absolutely no influence on the results of these elections. There is the Indian diaspora, which will vote this way or that way, but they are not going to be guided by what New Delhi says.
Yes.
So we are essentially observers and watchers. And what we have to be concerned with is what would be the likely policies of the two contenders vis-a-vis India and of issues of interest to us and how they impact on us. Other than that, in terms of going into the minutiae of the elections and the polls and the sentiments of various segments of society, issues like abortion and this and that, these are purely local American concerns. Yes, from an academic point of view, those who specialize in US relations can study all this and take a view on that, especially if you have to give a lecture or engage in an academic debate. But at the end of the day, this is a purely academic exercise which has no meaning, very little meaning in terms of the impact of these elections on India and on the international system in general.
Yes. But what do you think, Ambassador Sibal, led to the decline and perhaps Donald Trump catching up with the momentum which was there earlier with Kamala Harris? Where do you think the election perhaps shifted in some way?
This again, you see, I've been watching all these debates. One can have educated guesses, people who are looking at America, but you cannot actually replace all the people who are watching the election on the ground on both sides. I mean, there's a whole group of people in all walks of life, ordinary people, think tanks, academics, press, media, lobbies, corporates, what have you. They are looking at the election very finely and seeing what the trends are, because they are the ones who actually create these trends. It depends on these big tamashas that they hold and what is said there. There is no real discussion on substantive issues. No programs are being discussed. It's all sound bites and rhetoric. And of course, the level of discourse and abuse is staggering in a civilized society like the United States. They're all speaking to virtually committed audiences. And the thing about American election, which which everybody knows, is that there are a whole lot of states which are going to vote the way they're going to vote. Nothing is going to change. At the end of the day, there are 6-7 states which will make a difference, the so-called swing states. And within those swing states, there'll be small groups of people who are going to ultimately decide, the non-committed voters. And the entire effort is to try and win them over. Now, this says a lot about American democracy. And here we have a view, because we are lectured on the state of our democracy and backsliding and stuff like that. But look at the crisis in American democracy, the complete polarization and the sort of things that are said, that the elections may not be accepted. In California, they say you can come and vote without any identity, because if you show your identity card, this will disadvantage the minorities and things like that. I mean, if 1/100th of this had happened in India, there would be a hullabaloo in New York Times, Washington Post, Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, Le Monde, everything else, how the Indian elections are a farce and Modi is manipulating everything and stuff like that. I think the American democracy is absolutely no example to the world. It is sui generis, it is declining, and in fact, we shouldn't have much hope. Now look at these two candidates. If America can produce only these two candidates, look at the state of American democracy. I mean, one candidate is hollow, has no views that we know of, cannot actually speak at any length about our economic policies, about the geopolitical scene. She sort of reads from scripts and she's told to say what she has to say in order to make sure that they lose none of the votes. And the other man is a one-man show, completely unpredictable. And some of the people in your earlier show spoke about his character and his past. And he's the man who says that, who in the past has shown that if the election doesn't go in his favor, he can do anything. And he's been targeted by the Justice Department. That again is a commentary on the state of U.S. democracy. I mean, they talk about the Indian judiciary, not being independent and this and that, but look at how the justice system in the United States has been politicized.
Absolutely.
They've done their level best to prevent Trump from fighting this election. And all sorts of charges are against him. Some of the things he has done at the moral level are highly questionable. And he is supposed to be the leader of the free world. Now, I'm speaking very frankly about this. I don't think we have to worry too much about who wins or who doesn't win, except in the context of the assessment that we make, which of the two will be better for us, and which of the two will be better in terms of resolving international issues which are having an impact on us, whether it's the Ukraine war, relations with Russia, or what's happening in the Middle East, or what happens in U.S. relations with China. And in terms of follow-up on all that has been agreed to between India and United States under the Biden administration, where a lot of very, very important agreements have been made, especially in the high technology sector, the ICET, IndexX, and also in the defense area, and critical minerals and everything else. Now, we have to see how much of this is followed through. Now, insofar as Trump is concerned, he's threatening that he'll impose 20% tariffs on every country and 60% tariffs on China. Now we'll have to see whether he'll actually do it or not do it. Lighthizer, who will probably be Treasury Secretary this time, is a very tough nut, and we have to watch out what happens. On the other hand, Trump and Modi have a very good personal equation.
That's right.
Trump has been praising Modi very lavishly, at the same time, of course, talking about us as a tariff king. But nevertheless, at the personal level, he does seem to have a regard for Modi. And we have dealt with him for 4 years. And we know who he is, his personality, his unpredictability, and we have dealt with it successfully. Now, finally, at the end of the day, whether it is Trump or whether it is Kamala Harris, they cannot but keep in mind the rising importance of India economically, geopolitically, and the base of relations that has been created cannot simply be put aside. They have to build on it. Both will build on it, but there'll be problems on the one side, more on the economic side, that is Trump, and on the human rights and democracy and minorities and all that on the side of Harris. So we'll have to deal with it.
Absolutely. We will see how results pan out, and of course the New Delhi will learn to deal with the new regime in Washington. So thank you so much, Ambassador Sibal, for expressing your thoughts on the big fight tonight. That's all from me. I'll be putting out this entire discussion on NDTV.com. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be presenting another episode of The Big Fight next week. Thanks so much for watching.